welcome to Season 74 of Moral Side of the News. I'm Sean Kalin with the WHAS Crusade for Children, and I'm joined today, as always, by a distinguished panel of local religious leaders. Reverend Clay Calloway, West Louisville Ministers Coalition, Father Bill Hammer, St. Margaret Mary and St. William Catholic Churches, Reverend Sally McLean, Christian Church Disciples of Christ, Dr. John Slider, retired pastor, Free Methodist Church, and Father John Stoltz, St. Aloysius Catholic Church. Habemus Papam. We have a pope, the Latin phrase. We begin this week with the election of Pope Leo XIV.
It was the signal seen by tens of thousands gathered right here in St. Peter's Square, and by millions watching all over the world. There was a new pope. The white smoke atop the Sistine Chapel, and not long after, the declaration from that balcony, Habemus Papam, we have a pope.
Habemus Papam.
And then moments later, they delivered his name, Cardinal Prevost, the American, born in Chicago.
Dominum Robertum Franciscum, Sancte Romane Ecclesiae, Cardinalem Prevost.
The first pope ever from the United States, chosen to lead the Catholic Church and its 1.4 billion followers. And the moment he walks out. His first words to the faithful as Pope, "Peace be with you all, dearest brothers and sisters."
La pace sia con tutti voi.
So panel, we come out, it was all developing live last week as we recorded Moral Side of the News. It was kind of fascinating show. Our Father Bill was here to join us live for that. And this week we dive a little deeper into Pope 14th now that we've had a week to process and what we know about him. So I'll begin with Father Bill or Father John.
Well, I mean, it is a thing that I think collectively we are all still processing the implications of it, but that certainly from my perspective, it is the cardinals who did the voting discerned among themselves that they valued continuity with Pope Francis and the choice of him. They don't, at least from what I'm reading, they're not expecting a radical turn to the left or to the right. He will be his own person, there's no question. That's been demonstrated throughout his service as both as a priest and as a bishop prior to that, and then as a cardinal. And there will be certainly some distinctive qualities and priorities for him. At least I personally don't expect a major shift in directions at this particular time. So I think that was one of the discernments that they made. They wanted to value continuity rather than major radical change.
As we saw on that segment right there, as he comes out, the Pope made a brief statement, and in the statement, I thought of a few things. One of the things that he mentioned in it was the importance of dialogue. Mm-hmm. And I thought of a couple things there. One is that our previous Pope, Francis, established a kind of leadership or way of being church that we call synodal. Mm-hmm. And Pope Francis thought of that as being very important. It has been a part of our, especially a part of our most recent church through the past few decades, but Pope Francis expanded it in terms of who participated in this kind of leadership. Essentially, it was some meetings that occurred in Rome for these past few years, speaking on issues in the church in the modern age. And what Pope Francis did was he invited not only just the cardinals or that clerical leadership of the church, but he invited laity and other bishops and people from throughout the world to participate and to speak. And there was also the process there of speaking and listening, which was really important, called encounter. But with that word dialogue, I heard other things too. At that moment when I saw him, one of the things I thought of was us, this particular show that we do, as well as the Crusade for Children. I thought of the importance of dialogue, and what the Pope was highlighting there is of dialogue being so important for our culture and for our society. The importance of speaking and listening, which doesn't mean that we are all meant to be in agreement all of the time, but that we speak and that we also hear. The people who watch the show are not as much as part of the dialogue. get to hear them. We don't get to see them or anything like that. But hopefully, works like this show where there's dialogue that happens among us is something that helps the culture locally around here in our region, as well as the fact that we're connected with the Crusade for Children and that sense of our community being charitable for those needy among us. Something that's a very fruitful work that we do. So I thought about that, even in those opening comments of this Pope seeing that work as being very important, and I think very good that we do that together.
I was watching the show live, and I was looking at the two priests on the stage, and it was funny because watching St. Peter's Square, everybody was cheerful. Everybody was, exuberant, just like, this is the most wonderful thing. We've got this news. And on the stage was like, you could see them thinking, what does this mean? What does this mean? Who is this person? So it was a reaction I didn't expect. I thought, well, it'd be a little bit more lively, but they were processing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Clay, you, me?
Well, it don't matter. I mean, you pronounce the name Popham. Is that what the term?
Our name is Popham.
Popham.
We have a pope. We have a pope.
We have a pope. It reminds me.
Papa is the origin of the word. Yeah.
Papa. Now, going back to a Papa phrase from a rap artist, Notorious B.I.Z. He called himself Big. I love it when you call me Big Papa. So that's the only time I've heard that term in Papa. Papa culture, Big Papa. But he is the Big Papa. In a very real way of the Catholic Church globally. He is a big papa and the great joy connected with that. And he's regarded as such. That is a proper name to regard him and how to acknowledge his function throughout the Christian Church. So I think it was a big deal, no doubt. It was a huge deal, okay, given the current geopolitical climate in the world, to elect a pope from America, of all places. It's huge. It just reverberated all over the world. So I'm happy. I've talked to a few Catholics that my neighbors and the like, and just to get their feel for it at ground level, and they seem to be excited about the possibilities. So I think it's a good thing, and I'm amazed at how quickly they decided it. Baptists, we have vacant pulpits. We have vacant pulpits in the Baptist church, especially the Black Baptist. It may take years before they make a selection. And there's been a lot of that banting around on social media. So they can take cues from the Catholic Church. They elected a pope in 2 weeks. I think there's a way you can streamline the process and make a selection of a pastor. Dr. H. Don Cocker, who used to be on this panel, he retired officially in 2005. He served as 3 interim pastors, still serving today as an interim pastor. He's almost 95 years old. Oh, gosh. Yeah. They keep asking him to come back at different churches to serve. And the church he's in now, they're still in the middle of trying to find another pastor. So if the Catholics can take this small amount of time to elect a pope, surely a small local church can make a selection of a pastor in a much shorter time than they do.
So I'm hearing they don't really do it like a trial sacrament like the Baptists.
I don't know. It's a more intricate process, but they have their own.
Like somebody comes in for a week.
Right. They do interim. Even Colin Gray is serving now as an interim in a church now that the pastor has passed away. So he's serving as an interim at Lambton Baptist Church. They're in the process now of making a formal selection of their permanent pastor. So the process is much more long, drawn out, much more detailed, and I think that the Catholic Church in Rome is commended for making this selection in record time.
Yeah.
And that alone is a mark of distinction for the selection.
To that point, though, that many people expected going, they do spend over a week together, about 10 days together, discussing, discerning, talking to each other, getting to know each other, kind of just getting a feel for what people perceive the future needs of the church are, the present needs as well as the future. But the fact that the voting did happen, in fact, on the second day, that was surprising to me and to many people. That's what Pope Francis and Pope Benedict, both his 2 predecessors, were also elected on the second day. But I think most people expected going in it was going to take longer, which, again, is an affirmation that they recognized pretty quickly they wanted to continue going the same general direction. And I think it would take much longer to come to consensus about a major change, one direction or the other, right or left. Yeah. And so that happened in the second day of voting.
And Of course, I congratulate my brothers in black, my
Men in Black, MIB.
the Men in Black. Yeah, there we go. And it seems to be, in general, we were talking beforehand, not everybody's full in yet, but I'm sure everybody kind of not gets in line, but kind of rallies behind. And so I know this is a big event for you all. Yes. I think we need to wait a little bit to see, because the Pope has two functions. One is the leader of the Catholic Church, and the other is as a world leader. And we just have to see where he comes down. My sense of the previous Pope was that he was very much involved in world issues, and inserting is not the right word, but speaking out on certain issues, not necessarily in a way that I agreed, but he viewed himself, I think, appropriately as a world leader and
a world citizen.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's a world leader, yes,
Yeah.
world leader, but also a world citizen.
Yes,
Yeah,
and go ahead. No, that's all right.
No, I was going to say, in watching, I was really curious because it took an hour for him, at least an hour, maybe a little bit longer for him to come out. And, you know, when I preached, I would wear a robe. And so I hadn't worn one for a long time. And then I put it on and I realized the weight of that robe. And I thought when he came out, you know, 1.4 billion people and the weight of those vestments, I mean, and the symbolism behind the color that he wore, you know, what he was saying, all of that was kind of interesting to me. Now, I didn't think that his cape, is that what you call that? Vestment, it was red. I thought it was rose. Was it not rose? Was it red?
I think it was red.
I think it was red.
Yeah.
It was meant to be red, but it looked rose. Okay, but anyway. Well, I was just paying attention because that also has meaning. I mean, even the colors that he wore has meaning for the Catholic Church.
And we might get into that, a little bit of that in a little bit further along. Clay, you spoke about the first Pope from American and the significance of that. So we have another package here from ABC that speaks to that element. And interesting, and like as we were recording the show last week, my daughter was texting me, "He's from the United States. He's from the United States." I mean, it really reaches, you know, everyone's excited about it. So let's roll that, if you would, Phil.
Before that white smoke billowed out of the Sistine Chapel chimney, Pope Leo XIV, to many, was simply Bob, a native Chicagoan and the youngest of three brothers who have said that his calling came early.
When we were kids, we used to play cops and robbers, cowboys and Indians, shooting each other and whatnot. He used to play priest and distribute Holy Communion like with the Necco wafers. And that was his thing, and we're like, what's wrong with you?
You know, some people play school, or some people play army. He played priest, and we had to go to Mass. The ironing board was the altar.
After attending college at Villanova University in Pennsylvania, he was ordained a priest in 1982, joining the Order of St. Augustine.
But of course, I think the part of ministry that most shaped my life was Peru.
Pope Leo spent 2 decades there, working as a missionary, a teacher, a parish priest, and eventually a bishop in Chiclayo, Peru, an uncommon post for somebody born in the United States. Pope Francis would call him to Rome in 2023, where he was elevated to cardinal. And he received a powerful post selecting and supervising bishops worldwide. 7 American cardinals spoke for the first time today about the conclave's decision, including the Pope's visible transformation at his election.
I took a look at Bob. He had his head in his hands. I couldn't imagine what happens to a human being when you're facing something like that. And then when he accepted it, it was like he was made for it.
So a lot of excitement around the United States, first Pope from the United States, and speaking there at his head in his hands, the weight that when he realized things were going his way, that he would be the Pope. You know, I don't know.
Well, as I guess I would classify as an outsider or somewhat of one, I'm intrigued at the positive of marketing strategy and how the folks around the Pope are trying trying to humanize and are doing a good job of it and connecting with his family and showing he's a real person. But there's a weight to the office and a change, not only of the vestments, but and you were alluding to that, not only the physical weight, but there's a great emotional, spiritual, psychological weight that is put on. So I think in that little package we had there, I think that shows a positive. I don't want to call it marketing, but that's what it is. They're trying to communicate to everyone in a changing world.
Well, I think of it more as an announcement, as marketing.
That's maybe a better way to say it.
The excitement and the just because there is an answer, and now the direction that the church is going to go, and how that's what I saw you all doing on the moral set is which direction, what does this mean for us, what does it mean locally, what does it mean globally. That's sort of what I saw going on. I could see the wheels turning.
Well, I do think if you're looking at it, use that somewhat, the word marketing. One of the things that I think that has been a little bit downplayed, they certainly keep talking about, yes, he grew up in Chicago, he went to Villanova, I mean, he was formed in America, but actually his priesthood and his role as a bishop and even his role as a cardinal were formed in Peru.
Right, shaped throughout the world.
Yeah, yes, and I think that's also one of the things that needs to be further emphasized, and I think that possibly might have been a factor in some of the discernment among the cardinals as well, that yes, he is an American. No denying that. And probably among his friends, he's always going to be Bob, and not Pope Leo.
And multilingual.
And extremely multilingual. Yes. He has a gift of language, no question. I think he's fluent in about 5 languages and can speak up to 8. But that his formation in the Augustinian community and religious order, but also so much it was in South America, that I don't know for a fact. I can't imagine that's not how Pope Francis came to know him, because it would have been part of the larger South American Bishops' Conference, and they would have had meetings together before Pope Francis, and then he went back and never met with the bishops there. He certainly would have been a leader that he would have recognized among a pool of bishops gathering there. So he was formed well beyond the initial formation he got in this country.
Yeah, I've heard 1/3 of his life was only 1/3 of his life was spent in the United States.
Yes.
And so in many ways, so the other 2/3 would be South America and Italy. And so I think the cardinals would see him more as an international person, being able to speak multiple languages.
Yes.
Another just, I say part of his temperament or his sort of political sense is that one of the things I heard is that in Peru, he had to deal oftentimes with extremes of both left and right senses, where he was seen more as a moderate and a bridge builder in that way with a very moderate sensibility. I had heard that the cardinals wanted someone who was a unifying person in their leadership, and I think with that, he checks all the boxes. That what you see, being able to speak languages, there's so many ways where he can unify and bring things together of what he knows about. That's a real gift for him, I think, for the world.
Yeah, I'm going to do a plug for the Roman Catholic Dialogue team, because I'm a part of the Dialogue team. And so that's been in existence for decades, since Vatican II. And we're the only one, I think, still alive in the United States.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting thing to be able to sit and discuss with people of different faiths and traditions. Yeah. Especially the traditions and the symbolism, because Protestants are a little lack on that.
Well, just to say again about that first remark about dialogue, that importance. I mean, I just read on his first day, he wrote a note. On his first day, he wrote a note to the Jewish community about the importance of a Jewish Catholic dialogue. He has met already with the Orthodox. I have this sense of dialogue and peace, and also wishing peace, of those being very important themes. I hope that happens in his papacy.
Well, the fact he's been an American is huge, huge, in that it has never been an American Pope ever. Right. So that is unprecedented. And then in light of the current president that has captured the imagination of the world, it just takes it another place further than that. You know, I thought about this movie that came out in 1963 called The Ugly American. You may have heard about it. Marlon Brando played the role in 1963.
He was an
The
ambassador.
Ugly American. At the time, you never associated that.
Vietnam.
I never understood what it meant and why someone would associate ugly with American. Now, as probably as much as any time, America has an ugly taint to it. The term America around the globe has a certain ugliness connected to it, given the current administration and the turmoil that's been created by it. But here you have another American, not the ugly America, another American that brings beauty to the picture, that brings peace to the picture. It's a counterbalance to the image of the, quote, ugly American that is being that image is being bombarded around the world. So I think the fact he's American and that he is clearly counter to the climate that is being created by, promoted by by America is quite refreshing, and it shows that the world that America is not all this way; it's another way, and this Pope, being from America, projects that.
Let's move on to the discussion of unity, and his first words were, "Peace be with you." And the third package we have for us today speaks to a little bit of that and the choosing of his name and the meaning behind that. Throw that, Phil.
Pope Leo says he hopes to lead a church that, as he put it, illuminates the dark nights of this world. But into what part of the dark night will this Pope choose to shine his light? Some say pay attention to his namesake, the late 19th century Pope Leo XIII.
He reigned from 1878 to 1903, 25 years, one of the longest papacies in history. He focused on the Industrial Revolution, the plight of the workers earning starvation wages, and he stood up for the workers of the world.
With wars raging in Ukraine, Gaza, and elsewhere, can Leo find a way to be the peace pope?
We heard Pope Leo talk about the need for peace as particularly acute in this moment. His first words as Pope were, "Peace be with you," echoing the words of the risen Christ during this Easter season.
I hope that he can bring the church together. I know there were a lot of bishops and cardinals and priests and even Catholics that did not think very highly of Pope Francis. They thought he was too liberal, but I'm hoping now that Rob's Pope that he can bring all these sides together.
Pope Leo said he would be a faithful administrator of the church that should be judged by the holiness of his members and not the grandeur of her buildings. Remarks made in the Sistine Chapel under the Michelangelo masterpiece, God and Man Reaching for Each Other. Now this new Pope will determine how his church will reach out to the world.
Pope Leo XIV has a real worldview. He has a sensitivity and appreciation for all people. He's worked with all different races. He's worked with people in the margins. He's spent a lot of his life serving poor people in Peru.
The Pope, who once studied mathematics, must now calculate how his church will meet its many challenges. 1,400,000,000 Catholics are watching.
So what do we make of his name and his I feel just watching over the past week, there's been a lot of developments in peace. You know, Zelensky and Putin are at the table, meeting face to face as we record the show. There's been discussions. Help me out. What was the other? I'm drawing a blank.
Well, India, Pakistan.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
The next day. So, two solid examples of moving forward.
In peace, peace is being shalom. It means wholeness, really. Mm-hmm. So when you say we want peace, it's more than just tranquility. It means doing what is right to create the peace. And with him selected the name Leo, I believe that the quality goes in for the name goes on. So I'm sure he gave a lot of thought to that name in wanting to echo the values of the previous Pope, Leo. So I'm encouraged by that. That speaks volumes if you know nothing else. That alone should be an insight into his mind, his heart, and what he hopes to achieve during his papacy. So I'm encouraged by that, and so that's a good thing.
I had a parishioner long ago long ago for me in a small rural church that would always say you need to put feet on your prayers. And so let me flip that a bit and just say we need to put feet on our dialogue. Just sitting talking about things and gazing at our navels and wringing our hands is half the step. We need to put feet on our dialogue, and we need to need, as Christians, need to get involved and follow up on our dialogue. If we find some agreement and we search it out, let's work together. And I think, John, your comment about the Crusade for Children, we find not necessarily agreement on all issues, but we find agreement in wanting to do things in our community and help create community. So let's put some feet on our dialogue, on our openness, on our moderation, and our approach to people.
Yes, I mean, the choice of the name is always deliberate. I mean, you think of all the time spent by parents naming their child. All the name, effort that goes into, and in at least particularly Catholic Church over history, people entering religious orders often they would take on a new name. And even our sacrament of confirmation, the option of taking on an additional name. And you usually done because of research. You've done this kind of person, someone I want to emulate and practice. And as the little video clip kind of mentioned, that Leo XIII was very well known for his commitment in that present industrial age to be concerned for the needs of all people, especially the workers was a starting point, but all the poor and the needy throughout the world. And Pope Francis has indicated we're in a new similar period of time with the information age. This is a new age. We need to find ways to better serve and care for everybody. And that certainly includes the global population as well as our own selves, and that we do not start loving ourselves. We start by caring for others because we have been loved by God. And that's something I think, again, all of us, regardless of our religious faith background, we're all gifted because we've been loved by God, and we're called to love them in response to that. And, that in a sense, that's his motto. We are all in one, and therefore we need to be connected with him too.
Pope Leo XIII in the 19th century wrote a letter to the world called Rerum Novarum. And it was, as we Catholics look at it, sort of the beginning of social teaching in the modern era. And it started, numerous popes in the 20th century also wrote what they called social encyclicals, encyclicals about social ethics in the modern world. I have a sense that with this name, that we may see more commentary from the Pope, a moral comment on this information age that we have, and some of the issues that it may bring to humanity in terms of injustice, wanting a more just and peaceful world, and the contribution that we could be making, and to think about that.
Did you have a quick thought?
Oh, I was just going to say that's similar to social justice issues. That's what you're going to be talking about, and that's the direction you seem to think he's going to be.
Yes, that's what we're about.
That's what we're about.
Dialogue.
Well, we are.
Yes, we are.
Well, thanks for watching Moral Side of the News and listening to Moral Side of the News this week on iHeart Family radio stations and WHS Radio. Thanks to our panel, Reverend Clay Calloway, Father Bill Hammer, Reverend Sally McLean, Dr. John Slider, and Father John Stoltz. Have a great week. We'll see you again next week on Moral Side of the News.